All right, guys, let's go ahead and check out 3 Haunting True October Scary Stories by Mr. Nightmare. This was requested, like I said, by Chelsea. So again, thank you, Chelsea, for your reaction request. 3 Haunting True October Scary Stories.
Just want to announce that I partnered with Makeshift to create a limited edition plush toy based on the ghost character that was my channel logo.
Story 1.
The town I grew up in was pretty country, to put it lightly. Nothing but farms, crops, abandoned churches, and ugly worn-down houses. Everyone around us was pretty broke. Property taxes were like $1,000 a year, if that. With that came a lot of sketchball characters. Hell, even our neighbor was a weirdo. Nice, but weird. We weren't well off ourselves, but things at least got a little better for my family when my siblings and I were old enough to work too. When this app Hot or Not was still a thing many years back.
Hot or Not? What the heck is that? This looks like where I live. Frickin' Dollar Generals everywhere in the frickin' country.
I matched this girl Kelly, who I started seeing for a while. We matched in late summertime, and we were seeing each other through September already. This was early October. Kelly and I were looking for a nice, cheap date to go on. Really, there wasn't much to do around there. We've gone on hikes, explored, and gotten food. Not much else going on. So we took a new route in the car this day, somewhere neither of us had been, just to find something. We found this little restaurant sitting in a random parking lot on the side of the road. It had outdoor seating, so we went there. It was a warm, cloudy day when we arrived and got seated.
Ooh, does that sign there say burgers? Nothing better than a good burger when you're hungry.
At a table outside the restaurant. We were there for 45 minutes to an hour, and after leaving, it grew noticeably foggy out. We continued to drive down this route we'd never been down before, a really desolate road with just open fields and farmland on either side, with occasional patches of trees and woods. Then we passed something different. It was a sign for a pumpkin patch, only it was a very cheaply made sign. It wasn't some big billboard or anything like that. It was a wooden picket sign.
A cheaply made sign that says pumpkin patch? That sounds like a frickin' red flag. Or it's like a trap. Oh, pumpkin patch ahead, turn right, and it's like 5 miles into the frickin' woods. Where's the pumpkin patch? And then you get frickin' mugged or have your car tire popped or something, and then you're stranded out in the frickin' woods looking for the damn pumpkin patch.
Sign that said pumpkin picking this way and an arrow pointing to the right. Right behind the sign was a dirt driveway cutting through the field. Through the farm, we saw a house that the driveway led to. So a spur of the moment decision, we both agreed we wanted to check it out because why not? I drove off the road down the driveway and we passed the house into this back area which was covered by trees in 2 directions.
Oh gosh.
The left side and the far back.
What did I say, guys? It's going to be out in the middle of nowhere.
Side. Tucked between the house and woods was this big pumpkin patch. It was a genuine pumpkin farm, and we saw at least 200 pumpkins scattered all over the place.
Oh, well, it's a legit pumpkin farm. That was just what the
fog allowed us to see. We parked next to this old jalopy of a pickup truck, the only other vehicle visible on the property. We noticed an older couple sitting on the back deck of the house. As we got out, the 2 of them got up and greeted us.
Hey, have a good night, Hank. See you later.
And the old woman said with a smile, "Welcome. Pick anything you'd like." I asked her how much it would be for a pumpkin, and the old woman said it's free. We were surprised.
Free?
The fog was acting as a sort of barrier, so we couldn't clearly see the 2. It was a little creepy, but I could still tell that it looked like the old man was smiling at Kelly. His smile.
The pumpkins are free? I'm getting like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre vibes. Is Leatherface going to break out of the house and you're out there trying to pick a frickin' pumpkin?
Was very gummy. It was kind of gross. We both said thank you and started walking into the pumpkin patch. A lot of the pumpkins were on the smaller side, or mushy and just not very attractive. The ground was also kind of wet from the fog, I guess, and some of the pumpkins felt wet and muddy too.
Ooh.
It was hard to find a really nice one, but eventually we did find one. I picked up this big, healthy-looking pumpkin. It was heavy. I brought it over to the back deck where the old couple just was. They weren't there anymore.
Pumpkin, yes.
She said probably. It really felt like we were clear to leave since we already thanked the couple and they made it clear they were free. So we got back in the car and I started doing a 3-point turn on the dirt driveway to leave. when we heard someone yelling outside. We both got startled and turned to face the house.
What?
We saw a middle-aged man in a cap yelling, "Hey, stop." I lowered the window.
Hey,
and
stop.
he put his face
What?
through the window and yelled, "What the hell are y'all doing? I'm calling 911." I said, "What did we do?" And he said, "Put that pumpkin back right now." Kelly and I, talking over each other, both tried to explain to the man that the older couple told us to take whatever we wanted.
Yeah, I'd be like, what the hell, bro? I don't know if they're your parents or your grandparents sitting on the porch. They said the pumpkins were free. I would have just drive off. They want to call the police, go ahead. They take my license plate, whatever. It's a damn pumpkin. You're not going to go to jail or prison over taking a pumpkin, especially if the older couple said you can take one for free. This is very strange. What the hell's going on here?
I assumed they were his parents. The man said, "What older couple? What are you talking about?" I replied, "Are your parents also here?"
Wait,
He
what?
said, "I ain't got no parents." Kelly and I,
What?
both equally confused, looked at each other. I said, "Sir, there was no..."
Oh my gosh, don't tell me the old man and woman on the porch were freaking like ghost. Like old people who maybe lived at that house years before who died. Were they freaking ghost? Oh, I didn't even think of that.
An older couple sitting on your back deck 10 minutes ago, and they told us to take whatever we wanted. The man said there ain't no older couples here. He asked where the pumpkin is. I told him in the back. I unlocked the door and he grabbed the pumpkin. He said if we ever came back here, he'd shoot us.
What?
He spit at the ground and walked back to his house. I drove us out of there.
This guy needs a Happy Meal. Jeez. He's got like thousands of pumpkins in the field and he's freaking out because they took one pumpkin. I mean, even if the older couple were ghosts or something, like, it's one pumpkin, bro. Chill out.
We were as confused as could be. We considered the idea that maybe it was a joke, but that would be a real sick joke.
Yeah, that's weird.
I made a joke saying, "What if they were ghosts?" And Kelly said stop, clearly freaked out. But then I got the chills myself as I thought about what I just said. There was silence in the car for a few seconds, and I know we both pondered that idea. Out of curiosity, one day my two siblings went to that pumpkin farm to go pumpkin picking. They bought a pumpkin from the guy we saw, and they probed him a bit, asking about the farm and if the man lives there with anyone. The man said he lives there alone. This was unsettling to hear. It truly to this day doesn't make a lick of sense.
Hell?
Could the man have been lying about the older couple being there? I don't know. Possibly, but why? The scarier question.
Yeah, why would you lie about something like that? If it was his parents or, you know, he lived with older family members, why would you? I don't think the guy would lie about something like that. He probably lives there by himself and he sells the pumpkins, obviously, to make money. I mean, I guess I understand why he would be mad if someone was coming on his property and just, you know, in his eyes, they were stealing pumpkins from him, but I don't think he needed to get that angry over it.
Is what if he wasn't lying and he truly does live alone? Then who were those people?
I know, Underground. Yeah, you're about to die over a pumpkin. Can you imagine arriving in heaven? How'd you get here, bro? Oh, I got shot trying to pick a pumpkin. That's a crappy way to die. Pumpkin picking massacre.
It was late October when I woke up to one of my best friends, Connor, hitting me up asking if I was down to come to his house later. It was a Saturday afternoon and I was in high school at the time, so I spent most of my weekends with friends. Connor's parents were out of town for the weekend, and he was home alone with one of his older sisters, whom I'll just call Chantel. She was supposedly watching him the entire weekend. With that information, I knew he was just
Hey, if any of you guys want to make a lot of money, that's a good movie idea right there. The Pumpkin Picking Massacre. If one of you guys make a movie based on my idea there, if you make millions of dollars, hey, come on one of my live streams and donate a couple thousand because I gave you the idea. Then everything will be good. Will be fair if one of you guys gets famous and make that movie, okay?
asking me to come over and party. Again, I didn't have any work responsibilities to worry about at the time, so I agreed to the idea and headed over to his house. When I got to his house, we played some Call of Duty on his family room's couch for a few hours, talking about school, sports, girls, and whatever else we cared about at the time. Eventually, he brought up the idea of going to a Halloween party in his neighborhood that a bunch of people from our high school were going to. At first, I was a bit hesitant of the idea, but after some convincing, I was down to go. I'm not introverted or anything, I just wasn't feeling like partying that night, but Connor was dying to go, so trying to be a good friend, I agreed to go. I asked him about getting some kind of costume, and he had 2 security staff shirts that we could just throw on and use as the bare minimum of a Halloween costume. We continued to play on Xbox for a few more hours until 10:30 rolled around. Connor ran upstairs to Chantel's room, telling her we were going, as if she cared. Then we threw on our shirts and headed out. After a quick 5-minute walk, we pulled up to a Halloween-decorated house where we could hear the music blaring from inside.
Look at all the pumpkins.
The decorations and through the door where we were slammed with the loud music we heard outside. The place was packed with maybe 70 other high school kids raving and just talking
70 kids?
Jeez. It was your average high school party.
That's a lot of people. 70?
Later, I'd already lost Connor as I was pulled aside by Lino, one of my baseball teammates who I'd hardly seen at all that year. He sat me down on a couch in a circle with some of my other friends and teammates. We continued to talk for a couple hours, laughing at dumb memories brought up in conversation and partaking in activities that normally go down at parties. At this point in the night,
Underground.
I was feeling tired and completely out of it.
Comedy horror.
I knew it was time for me to go home and get some rest for the night. I looked through the party for Connor, where he was flirting with a girl in the corner of the kitchen. As I accidentally interrupted...
What the hell? Is this freaking Stranger Things? All right, I want to see how many people watching have watched Stranger Things before. Guys, what in this picture here is related to Stranger Things? I'm going to give you guys a minute to say something. I want to see how many of you guys have watched Stranger Things. What in this picture here looks like something from Stranger Things? You haven't watched it, Sister Wolf. Watch Stranger Things. It's a great show. Yes. Crap, I forget the mom's name. One of you guys, but Will, when Will was like, I don't know what you want. When Will from Stranger Things was like possessed by the mind flare, he had to communicate through the lights, and she put all these letters on the wall, and he would like light up above the letter, and then the mom would spell things out. That's how Will communicated. All right, I see some of you guys watch Stranger Things. Cool.
In his conversation, I asked him if it was cool for me to go back to his house and sleep. He agreed and said he was going to stay for a little longer, but the girl he was talking to asked if I could go get some drinks from the basement. I agreed to do so after realizing I completely interrupted their deep conversation. It was the least I could do. It didn't take me long to find the basement, as I opened the door and headed down the dimly lit stairs.
That's a creepy basement door. I don't like that.
I stumbled down the last few steps and fell into the fridge. As I opened it, I was greeted by a man's voice behind me, who tried quietly saying boo. I jumped and
fell
threw my
in the
hands
fridge.
up,
What?
facing the direction I heard the voice from. There was a tall, 35-year-old looking man wearing a black cloak costume and standing behind me with a grin on his face, making a surprise gesture with his hands. What the hell was that for? I yelled, with a clear slur in my speech. The guy laughed and introduced himself as the party host's cousin. I was so out of it, I didn't even question why he was in a dark basement by himself, and there was a massive party going on upstairs with loud music.
Yeah, that's a little weird.
The guy awkwardly tried making conversation, but I told him I needed to get my friend his drink and leave the party. I'm honestly pretty open and chatty to strangers when I'm out of it like that, but even at that moment, I didn't like his vibe, and I tried everything I could to get away. He blurted, "Nice meeting you," as I turned around, walking up the creaking stairs. I told my friend goodbye and left the party. The lights and Halloween decorations on each house in the neighborhood lit up the street as I walked back to Connor's house. It didn't really matter though, because the walk was literally 5 minutes at most.
Okay.
I reflected on the weird exchange I had with that man in the basement as I walked, and I couldn't shake the odd vibes he gave off. The more I thought about it, the weirder it became in my head. I eventually got to Connor's house. It was completely
Okay, Underground, I'll check that out, man. Thanks for the Netflix. I'm always looking for new stuff to watch on Netflix, so thanks.
dark, and Chantal's car was gone from the driveway, meaning I was home alone. I walked into the dark, eerie house and didn't bother turning on some lights, just headed straight to the basement to sleep.
Oh,
I
great.
walked down there and passed out on the couch. I lay like a baby
That's
for
fine,
maybe
Ryan.
15 minutes until I heard a crashing noise upstairs. It woke me
What?
right up.
Oh,
I tried listening
no.
for anything else, but I heard nothing. I thought I was hearing things, then tried getting back to sleep. I don't know how much time passed from when I first heard the crash.
Oh, Joyce. Thank you, Chelsea.
Above me,
Yep,
creaking
Joyce.
Like someone was walking on them.
Joyce and
I
Hopper.
thought it was Connor or Chantel, but it sounded way too heavy to be either of them.
It's that creepy 35-year-old man at the party. He followed your ass home.
I pulled out my phone and texted Connor, asking if he was home yet. I stared at the ceiling, trying to listen. The door to the basement opened.
Oh, no.
I could hear a person walk down the staircase. I peeked around the bend of the room to see the stair opening.
This is not
I saw
good.
the man I saw
This
earlier
is
at the
not
party,
good.
standing right there, quietly, illuminated by the stair light. I tried not to make any noise, praying that the man would just walk away. A few moments passed by before he randomly turned and quietly walked out of the basement, closing the door. I picked up my phone
What?
and dialed 911. I explained the situation.
What the hell is going
gave them
on?
everything they needed, and I waited patiently in the basement for them to show up. I tried opening the windows down there, but they were all sealed shut. I had no escape through the basement door that the man was standing by earlier. The cops eventually came, and they arrested the man because he was still there. He was found hiding underneath Chantel's bed. She had gotten home and was getting ready for bed.
He was hiding under Chantel's bed? Bro, what the hell?
And was moments from getting into the bed when she heard the cops knocking on the front door downstairs. I have no idea what his intention was, but clearly he followed me home. The whole encounter has really confused me. I'm just glad things played out the way they did. Oddly enough, the cops were able—
What's up with these stories of these freaking creepers breaking into people's houses and like hiding in the attic or hiding under beds? Freaking creeps.
to review neighboring houses' cameras, and they saw the man following me home. But then he lost me after taking the corner into the cul-de-sac. He ended up lurking on Chantel, watching her get out of her car and walk into the house. Then he snuck around to the backyard and broke in through the back door. Always be alert of your surroundings.
Yeah, always be alert if someone's following you or something's weird. Watch your surroundings for sure.
It was the middle of October. The leaves were just starting to change to that beautiful mix of orange and yellow.
That's happening here where I live. The trees are just now starting to lose their leaves and they're changing colors. I love fall. It's a beautiful time of year, and then winter hits and everything's cold and gloomy. I like snow and winter too, but I wish fall lasted longer. At least where I live, fall's like a month and a half. And then it's frickin' winter and it's cold.
My wife Courtney and I are a gay couple. We've been married for 2 years now. We wanted to take advantage of the fall foliage and go to the Catskill Mountains in New York. We booked an Airbnb by Overlook Mountain, a popular hiking destination. We're avid hikers, so we go all over the country to explore national parks and famous hiking destinations.
Hiking's fun. I like hiking,
This was our third time
especially
going to
in the
Catskill,
fall.
New York. The owner of the Airbnb was an adorable-looking sweet woman who was definitely in her 50s or 60s. Out of respect, I'll just name her Kathy. Kathy was very easy to work with and very responsive. She had the key to the little house hidden in a code-locked mailbox, and she gave me the code. Inside was a very rustic and cabiny type of feel, with wooden walls and floors, but bright-colored rugs to cover the wood floors.
Wow, that's beautiful.
It was well-kept and nice. Spacious enough for 2 people. Outside was woods in all directions. There was a shed converted to a little clubhouse outside, with a pool table and dartboard and a bunch of things hung on the walls. We drove to the base of the Overlook Mountain Trail, and there were some people around. Not many, but a few. As we were ascending the mountain on foot, we'd pass occasional hikers on their way down. Eventually, we sat on a big rock overlooking
Too
an
many
amazing cliff
creepy
view,
people
just
out
admiring
there.
for a while.
Hey, good night,
Eventually,
Thomas.
We heard a footstep crunching a leaf behind us. We turned around and saw a woman by herself, leaning on a tree.
Oh gosh, don't tell me someone's following them while they're hiking, some weird stalker woman.
She was like 55 or something. She was clearly looking at us until we turned and saw her. Then she awkwardly looked away. I would have otherwise said hi, but she made it weird. We just ignored it, until randomly we heard her say hi. So we turned again and saw she was looking at us. We said hi back. Then she asked where we're from. From here, we just got into a seemingly normal conversation with her. She said her name was Melinda, and she was from the area.
Melinda.
She asked where we're staying, offering her knowledge of the area to suggest places to check out. I told her right up the road at an Airbnb. She suggested some places to go, and then the conversation kind of died off from there. Courtney and I said, well, it was nice meeting you, as we now started descending the trail back towards the car.
The lady's gonna follow them.
The Melinda lady was now also heading down as well.
Oh gosh.
She was keeping a bit of a distance, not within earshot. We found a spot to rest on the way down for a minute.
Yeah, if I was hiking and I noticed someone was like following me oddly, I'd be like, yo, bro, do you need something? Like, go down a different hiking trail. Stop following me. I'd be too I'd be too paranoid. Hey, Faith, thank you for subscribing.
We noticed Melinda seemed to stop too at the same time. She was still out of earshot. This was weird. We felt like she was following us, so we decided to just stay put and wait her out.
Ham, sister.
After a while,
I prefer ham over
her way down, past us.
Turkey any day.
She looked at us and smiled and said okay as she walked past us. We waited till she was out of sight before we continued hiking down. We got back to the parking area a while later, and from there we went straight back to the Airbnb right up the road. We were exhausted, so we
Viper? Looks like Bigfoot territory. Frickin' Granny and Jake need to go exploring here. Where's this story happening? Somewhere in New York, I think he said.
Took a nap. Then we went out to eat at this place called Garden Cafe, which was highly rated. After that, it was pitch black out, so we went back to the Airbnb with plans to just cuddle up and...
Bro, don't tell me that creepy Melinda lady is gonna show up at the Airbnb cabin. They're gonna hear like knocking on the door or something. It's gonna be that frickin' Melinda lady. Oh God, please no.
And watch movies. We had a long day of hiking, so we were gonna sleep good. There was only a TV in the living room.
Oh, really, Maggie?
But it was set up to have Netflix and everything, so we found a good movie to watch and put it on. We were so tired that we started drifting off to sleep halfway through the movie. I noticed Courtney was completely knocked out, and I was following suit, when suddenly...
Oh, no!
I immediately snapped back awake to the sound of knocks at the door. We were in the middle of the woods. Knocks at the door were a huge concern.
They're in the middle of the woods. You know, they went hiking. They're on a little vacation getaway. It's gonna be that creepy ass Melinda lady. And yeah, it is a lot more strange if you're out in a cabin in the middle of the woods or something and you hear knocking at the door. It's like, what the hell? Like, who the hell is that?
Nobody should be here. There was no peephole in the door.
Okay, DW.
I couldn't check who was there. All the blinds were closed, and I wasn't gonna dare peeking out of one of them. I shook Courtney awake and told her someone's at the door.
Oh, it's okay, Sub-Zero.
I muted the TV, and we waited for a second set of knocks that came only seconds later.
Oh,
Both agreed
no.
There's no shot we were opening the door. It was still early, like 9 o'clock, so I texted Kathy asking if she was at the door. There was then a knock at the window, and a woman's voice on the other side asking if someone in there. Courtney and I were now freaked out. I'd say we were in a panic. Knocking on a...
This Melinda lady has to have like mental issues or she's crazy or something. That's not normal at all.
Stranger's window is not a normal thing somebody does. What happened next was even more disturbing.
Bam 56. Well, time to set the Home Alone traps.
We heard the person trying to lift open the window.
What?
Thankfully, it was locked.
Oh my gosh.
Kathy was calling me now. I showed Courtney and she said maybe it is her outside, that's why she's calling. I picked up in a low voice, and Kathy on the other end told me she was at home, and she asked who was outside. When I told her what's happening, she sounded confused and concerned. None of her friends or relatives would go to that house, she said.
What's up, Will?
She told us don't open the door, and we took her advice. After hanging up, there were now knocks on another window, and the voice called, "I need help, please let me in." We knew better than to fall for this. Something bad would happen if we
I'd be like, sorry if you need help. I'm not trying to sound like a mean person, but get the hell out of here. I'm calling the police. I'm at in a cabin out in the middle of the woods. You should not be out here. It's freaking dark outside. It's nighttime. Why are you in the woods and why are you here? Open the window or door. I need help. Be like, go somewhere else.
let them in. We started to realize it could have been that
what
weird
in the
lady from the hiking
tarnation?
trail. Like, what if she followed us back to the Airbnb? We honestly wouldn't have even noticed. I went to the bedroom where it was completely pitch black, and I ever so delicately moved the blind up just a crack to peek outside. There was a man walking past the window.
A man?
Me. I went back to Courtney to tell her that there were multiple people out there. This was an invasion.
It's not just the Melinda lady. There was a man walking outside. So Melinda was just a freaking setup or a trap. If they would have opened the door to help the lady Melinda, there was a guy outside walking. So there's Melinda, a man walking outside. How many other people could be out there? Oh, I didn't think there was going to be multiple people out there. I thought it was just the crazy lady Melinda.
Asian. We called 911. I gave them the address and stayed on the line.
Wait, what did he say?
There was a man walking past the window. He didn't notice me. I went back to Courtney to tell her that there were multiple people out there. This was an invasion.
Oh, invasion.
We called 911. I gave them the address and stayed on the line.
Yeah, it is creepy,
there were a few
Ryan.
more knocks at the door, but we never answered. The people outside eventually gave up, I believe, because the knocks and yells stopped. The police took a while to get there, but when they did, we felt a lot better. The officers were very nice, and they stayed with us while we figured out what we wanted to do. I called Kathy again and explained what happened and why we didn't feel safe staying there tonight anymore. She was completely understanding. We still paid for that night, but the rest of the stay was canceled, and the officers stayed with us while we packed our things and loaded the car. One of them led us in his car to the nearest motel where we stayed for the night. Given the circumstances, we drove home the next day.
Okay, Sub-Zero, I'll have to check him out sometime.
Area after that. We think this was some kind of
Ryan,
group
hell
that was
to the
looking for
no,
easy
no,
targets
no.
to abduct, and may have been using a woman as some kind of scout to gain their trust. And they saw two young women by themselves, so they tried to target us.
Melinda was a setup.
For future hikes. We've started to bring pepper spray with us, just as a form of self-defense.
Guys, you know what? You know what, guys? Courtney and her wife were actually very lucky. You know why? If that lady Melinda was just a scout or a setup, and then Melinda had that guy with her or multiple other people, Courtney and her wife are lucky because if that cabin was out in the middle of the woods, if they really wanted to get into that cabin, they could have broke down the door. You get a rock and break the window. I mean, if you're out in the middle of the woods, by the time you call the police and the police get out there to help you, you could be long gone, abducted, you know, who knows what could happen to you. So Courtney and her wife were lucky because that guy didn't try to break down the door. He didn't break a window. You know, like I said, being out in the middle of the woods, it's going to take the police probably a good 30 plus minutes to get out there, depending on how far you are out in the woods. It's going to take the police a while to get out there. So Courtney and her wife were actually lucky that they ended up going away, you know?